Hello po and good morning. Welcome again to everyone who's joining us ngayon po. I'm Dr. Ana York Bondoc and we are here on Libreng Consulta. So yes, ayan, bumabalik po ata. Are we okay? Yes, sorry na puputol. Um, Even though we are here, nasa Pilipinas po tayo and the internet connection is not the best. But I hope that you can hear me. Thumbs up po if you can hear. Thumbs up po if you can see as well. And pasensya na po. So let's start po with our letter. Actually, which was sent to me by my pamangkin. And it goes, Dear Doktora. Actually, it says, Dear Tita. Yan, Dear Tita Doktora. Kasi nga po pamangkin ko. I'm on day 5 of my isolation na po. And I'm going to have a swab afterwards. Kaso, I'm getting sad na po. At iba't iba na po ang nararamdaman ko. How can I make myself happy and feel better po nitong isolation? So, yung mga nahihirapan po sa isolation or yung mga na-isolate o may kilalang naka-isolate, can you put a heart po, na? Magbigay po tayo ng hearts. Ayan, sige, hearts po tayo, no? Hearts. Sa lahat po ng mga na-isolate ngayon, and that you'd like to send love and care and concern po sa kanila. Isolation is very difficult. We're gonna talk about it po. And you know, as a doctor, napakadali lang po magsabi ng isolate. Ano ba isolate? So let's go po through the medical reasons and then later on po, pag-usapan po natin ang ating pong pakiramdam while we are isolating. We have some questions po that, we have some comments po before we start on the discussion. Let's read a few nice comments dun sa poster po. Actually, hindi nice nakakahabag damdamin or touching comments po na nainiwan po ng mga tao sa atin pong sa baba po, no? So, are you ready, Miss Kat, to flash a few comments? Ang dami ko pong pina-isolate ngayon, including my employees, myself, everyone, ano po. So, let's share our experiences po sa isolation. Ilagay nyo lang po sa baba, babasahin din po namin. Okay?
From Miss Marilyn A.S. Guerra, sad dahil po ang laking perwisyo ang mag-quarantine. Dahil lang po sa kapabayaan ng isa, ang lahat po ay maapektuhan, kaya maging responsable po sana ang bawat isa.
Yes, it's really very hard, ano? Thanks for sharing, Miss Marilyn. And let's go towards our discussion. And later on, let's read pa rin ho comments para sometimes just hearing that you are not alone can make you feel better. Okay? So, sige po. Start na po tayo. Letter A.
Letter A, what is isolation?
Ang ganda, no? Ang daling sabihin, isolate, isolate, isolate. Ano ba? What's isolation and what do we mean by isolation? Well, ito po, this is a parang centuries na tauna na po. Isolation and quarantine is actually the most basic. The most basic po talaga ng medicine and infectious disease. Nung panahon pa po ng even Middle Ages, the Black Plague, lahat po yan. Hinihiwalay lang po yung mga may sakit or actually hinihiwalay po yung may nararamdaman sa walang nararamdaman. Kasi nung unang panahon, we do not know naman talaga who is sick. We just know that some people have lagnat and then some people don't. So nung unang panahon po, the early doctors, they used to separate those who are coughing, those who are with fever, from those who are not. With the theory po, para hindi po magkahawaan. So this is an ancient concept po, no? Panahon pa ho actually ni Kristo, I guess, hinihiwalay na rin po noon yung mga may karamdaman o yung mga may sakit, no? Kasi di naman nila alam actually the concept of sickness. Doon po sa those who feel well. And this is so that they do not hindi po sila magkasakit or hindi po magkahawaan. Noong unang panahon, the concept of hawa or transmissibility was not yet known. Ano po, akala nila may mga vapors, mga nakulam, ganon. But ngayon po, it's the modern age, we realize it's the transfer of viral particles in the case of COVID, the transfer po of bacteria, and it can either be, marami pong ways of getting sick. Hindi lang po COVID ang pinag-uusapan but COVID po we know is aerosol, yung TB, aerosol, cholera, fecal oral, sa the dirty sewages po yan. Polio also sa sewages, no? So there are many ways. Dengue naman po through mosquitoes. Okay, so there are lots of ways of getting sick. And we usually separate those who are well from those who are not well. Okay?
Letter B, denial is real.
Ikaw, Reina, before I start, what do you think of this?
Well, totoo to, Doktora. Majority of us, not just Filipino, but also around the world, especially, I'm not gonna mention any country. Western countries siguro. In denial sila talaga. But just to give a 2 cents worth of my word, no, acceptance is really the key para maharap nyo yung crisis, yung magkaroon man ng COVID positive. Acceptance talaga.
Okay. Thank you. Tama yan. Denial is indeed real kasi when our advice ngayon is anybody na linalagnat, anybody po na inuubo, anyone na sinisipon, because of the high transmission at the moment po talaga, we advise them to isolate themselves. Ngayon, ang hirap po talagang tanggapin, and I am not condemning anyone. In fact, I'm understanding them po. Mahirap. So yung mga naglalagay na nagagalit sa social media sa mga hindi nag-isolate, intindihin natin sila. But again, we need to do it po talaga for the safety of ourselves, our family, and to help rin po the Philippines to combat the pandemic. Ina-isolate po natin yung sarili natin kung tayo po ay naging close contact or kung sakaling may inuubo sa bahay o linalagnat, to avoid po passing on, no? Yung transmission po, doon na po natin pinuputo. Okay? Kasi po ang virus, pag wala na pong malipatan pa, if everyone is vaccinated and protected, though we know that nagkakaroon din po ng breakthrough infections, and if the vaccine cannot travel 6 feet, so kung talaga pong you stay in your house, yung looban na lang po ng bahay ang at risk, at yung mga tao po sa labas ng bahay would be protected. So, yes, it's really difficult to accept that you need to isolate. Kasi ang dami nang sasabi, baka naman trangkaso to. Kaya lang from the high transmission rate po ngayon, malakas po ang probability po talaga na that could be COVID. So, the doctors are advising us po to isolate. So, mahirap. And the consequences po of isolation are also very difficult. That's why may denial po. Okay? So, ako po, hindi ako nagagalit sa mga nagde-deny. Nakikiusap po ako, and siguro po through education and good examples din po that we could convince them that it is needed. Sige po. Parang napuputol po tayo. So let me read it na lang po, no? Practical issues are difficult. Once you, kasi po, it's difficult, no? Buti kung na-isolate lang po natin yung may sakit or yung linalagnat. Kaya lang po, with the COVID, we isolate everyone in the home. So talagang wala, biglang, of course, people lose income po by not going to work. So talagang malaking at mabigat na po yung no work, no pay na yan. My God, 10 days di kasi sweldohan for someone who is not earning a lot. Parang po yun, tragedy na po talaga yon. And then number two po, who's gonna go to the palengke, who's gonna go to the bank, who's gonna buy the gamot sin mercury drug. Mabuti na lang po, meron tayong online, but again, it's not accessible to everybody. So yung practicality na lang po ng isolation is already very, very, very difficult po.
Letter D, discrimination is real.
Oh, what do you think, Reina?
Oo, last time I just posted something na stop COVID shaming. Let's help na lang kasi sobrang lahat naman tayo nagdadaan sa krisis at ayaw din naman natin itong mangyari sa isa't isa. Pero let's stop. Just help.
Hindi nakakatulong. Oo, hindi nakakatulong. Alam mo, my husband is correct. Sabi niya, if somebody becomes positive in the home or somebody becomes sick, it's useless daw to blame persons or to investigate kung saan pa nanggaling. Kasi po, sa sobra pong paghahawa po talaga ng Omicron ngayon, it's just in the air na lang eh. Kumbaga, trying to find a culprit or yung masisisi. And that's human nature na may sisisihin tayo. But ano naman ang pakiramdam nung sisisihin mo? Baka magtago pa eh. So better na just accept what happened and do the proper things po. So discrimination within the household. So kung sino man ang naunang magkasakit, wag na po nating sisihin kasi lumabas ka pa, etc. Those kinds of things are not helpful, okay? And then if you are a neighbor naman po or kapitbahay or what, do not be a marites, no? Yung misfortunes po ng iba is not something for you na matuwa. Okay? It's something for you to assist them. Kasi po, because of the discrimination and attitudes po ng mga tao, baka magtago pa ho yung mga may nararamdaman and magpilit pa pong pumasok or itago kasi or lumabas as if nothing's happening. Kasi po, yun nga, they're afraid of what other people will say. So please, this is one of the things that we can really do sa pandemic, which is to support and stop being a marites nga po or making chismis in real life, IRL, or in virtual life. Hindi po nakakatulong yan. Ikaw, Reina, any thoughts again before we leave this very important topic?
Ako, I agree, Doktora. Having experienced the isolation, ang unang-unang sinabi ko sa household, tigilan ang paghahanap kung sinong masisisi. Kasi nandito na to. It goes with the letter B kanina. Yung sinasabi natin, yung denial is real. Let's stop denying. Nandito na to. Lahat tayo magkakaroon. I-prepare na lang natin ang sarili natin. And then let's just accept. Kasi yung taong na positive, perhaps may burden na yan na yung sa sakit niya eh, di ba? So yung burden na yun alone, having a COVID, is difficult na to face. Tapos dadagdagan mo pa ng panginising niya, baka naman ma-mental breakdown yung tao habang naka-isolate, di ba? So that's just my thought. No, so comfort mo na lang, i-comfort mo and then just tell him na, okay, this is none of our fault. We don't want this to happen. Alam ko naman na gusto mo lang lumabas and mag-happy-happy. But then, the virus came. So let's just face it and stop, deny. But it's
stop blaming.
Away. Yun yung masasabi.
At saka ito lang
stop blaming.
Yung unang nagkasakit sa bahay nyo, hindi nyo naman alam kung siya yun eh. Kasi, di ba si Manang went to the palengke, the driver went home, 3 people had to work. Just because that person was the first person to get symptomatic in the household doesn't mean that that was the person who was the first. Marami rin pong asymptomatic. So, guys, baka yung sinisisi nyo, hindi naman yun eh. O, isa pa yan. Alright? So, sige, let's move on.
Move on. Let's do letter E, be kind. Ayan, Doktora.
Yes. This is a time po talaga of kindness and understanding. If your neighbor becomes isolated, you won't naman die if you go to the palengke for them. I don't mean die the effort. I mean, hindi ka magkaka-COVID if you go to the palengke for them, sabay na ipamalengke mo na yung sarili mo, okay? It would be a big help pagkain po ipahatid nyo because I'm sure they cannot eat out eh. If you want to send them food, fruits, ako I send balut and fruits sa mga positive. If you want to send them prayers, pwede rin. Better gumastos ka, tumulong. Kung wala ka namang ipapanggastos si tumulong, you can really help them by pamalengke na lang, malaking bagay na po yan. Again, I would like to thank our barangay captains po. They have really been truly helpful during this time kasi talagang ano po, lalo na nung una, everybody was really so scared. The barangay was the one going to the palengke. Kaya lang ngayon, understanding lang po sa barangay kasi we cannot naman make pamalengke for like 100 households pong isolated. So that happens po, sari-sarili pong kamag-anakan talaga has to help. Okay? So be kind in many ways. Be kind in your actions. Be kind in your words. Be kind in your posts. And be kind po sa inyong thoughts. Malaking bagay na po yan. I wanted to add, I wanted to add also, kasi I asked the question also, kumusta? Can you type in letter F, kumusta ka na? Yan. And that's what I wanted to say, no? Once you're in isolation, there will be a whole lot, paki-type lang paki-flash. There will be a whole lot of emotions talaga. Yan. Kumusta ka na? Iba't iba po talaga ang mararamdaman ng iba't ibang tao. There will be some people na chilling lang kasi they feel well. They are using this time to take a break po from their studies, from their work na possibly very demanding po, no? So may mga chill. Meron po namang mga worried and we can't blame them, no? Wondering kung magkano po yung gastos in case merong ma-ospital. Lalo na if there's a senior in the house, baka ako mag-positive si nanay at tatay. Yung mga hindi po bakunado, I'm sure kahit papano, you will also worry. Even if it's mild, kasi syempre alam nyo naman po na iba po yung status ninyo. And then, there will be the ones who will be sad. Kasi talagang sad naman. I saw this yung kay Iya Villania na nakahiwalay siya sa mga kids, sa mga mommies. Sad po yun. Very sad. That's why I tend to isolate na lang the whole household para magkasama na lang kayong lahat. And then there will be some naman po na talagang makikipag-away na sa loob ng bahay. Kasi iba, kahit sa loob ng bahay rin, iba-iba yung pananaw natin about what to do. There will be some demanding to be tested. There will some demanding not to be tested. Ganon. So it's really a trying time for everyone. So yung kumusta ka na, I think the answer can vary from day to day. The answer can vary from person to person who is isolated. And sometimes you ask today, okay. You ask tomorrow, hindi na okay. So it's really hard, ano? My solutions to this, and this will come out during the questions siguro. Two things that I would like to emphasize. Ano po, yung helping others. Kasi if you're okay naman, try to help others also kahit naka-isolate, even through social media, ganun po. Kasi once you help others, nakakalimutan niyo po yung mga sarili niyong problema. And that's actually why I started this FB Live, to help others. Kasi para maka-move on naman ako sa problema kung, the lockdown lahat. And then another thing I wanted to say, number 2, is keep busy. Pwedeng magluto, maglinis, mag-organize ng bahay, mag-exercise, kumanta, mag-Netflix. Kasi pag wala po tayo talagang ginagawa, dun ho pumapasok yung sad thoughts. So keep busy. So yun lang po. And of course, my last is pray more. That is the secret to everything. So good morning and let's have the questions and reactions po.
Okay, from Miss Mary, isang napakahabang first question natin, Doktora. From Miss Mary Ann F.A. Mabuti. Good morning po, Doktora. Hope all is well with you and your loved ones. May I ask lang po, what is the proper counting sa isolation ng isang individual pag naging close contact? Sabi po, 10 days. Kung yung close contact ng positive ng Sunday, automatic Monday start ng isolation ng naging close contact. Kung nag-positive si close contact after swab test, continue lang po ba ang counting from the day na positive yung kasamaan o start nung lumabas ang result?
Nako, number 1 question yan talaga. And thank you for that question, Mary Ann. No, normally po, we would say that the day 1 starts from the time of symptoms. So kung may nararamdaman ka na at nagpa-isolate, that would be day 1. Kaya lang po, if you, that's why I don't like testing also eh. So that usually, actually yung 10 days na yon kung may symptoms. Kung walang symptoms po si close contact, it would actually be 7 days po for the vaccinated and 14 days for the unvaccinated. So meron pong ano doon. I think more the question is, when do we start day 1? Tama ba ako? Okay, so usually day 1 is the start of isolation or the start of symptoms. Okay, kaso, pag nagpa-test ka, okay, normally, day 1 pa rin yung start of symptoms. If you get tested on day 3, lumabas po yung ano, yung results day 4, usually 1 day ano po. Sa probinsya po and in many LGUs, they would start again. Kumbaga kung kailan ka nagpa-test or better pa nga kung kailan lumabas yung symptoms, they will start the counting again. Bakit? Okay, you're asking, ano, nagpa-test ako day 5 na, bakit ba day 1 na naman? Ano ho it's not for science, but more for simplicity. Kasi po ang hirap-hirap talaga i-determine kung kailan yung start of symptoms. Kung may nakita po silang positive test, isolate na naman. Ganun ho talaga. That's why I'm not a fan of testing kasi I didn't put that na lang But if you test positive, most LGUs, most MHOs, most companies would require you to start your isolation again. Kasi parang feeling nila may hawak silang papel. Nakuha mo ba yung, do you get my point, Rina?
Okay. Let's wait for Doktora po to get her connection back. Medyo nagkakaroon lang po ng connectivity issue po.
Hi everyone, am I back? Please put a thumbs up if you can see me. Thank you so much. Okay, balikan na lang po natin. When to start day 1, it's normally the start of the symptoms. But if you have a test, most MHOs and LGUs will start again from the day po of the test results. Okay? Next po.
From Miss Julie Magsino Lanip, sad po, nakakainip. Only the four corners of the room ang nakikita, but I have to do this for the protection and safety of my family.
Thanks, Ma'am Julie. It's really sad. And I think from the reactions that I got dun sa mga posters, nakikita po natin iba't ibang reaction ng mga tao. Internet is really a big help. And if you have a garden po, na you can go around the garden basta you do not encounter the neighbors.
From Miss Rugine Bungay, Doc, pwede na po ba magpa-booster shot exactly 14 days na interval from flu shot? Or yung pang 15 days pa lang po, doon pa lang po okay pa-booster po? Salamat.
It's okay po. 1 day doesn't really make a huge difference. We're just saying that po, just to separate po the time between the flu and the booster. So don't stress po. If your booster got called 1 day before, that's okay. Opo, okay lang po yon.
Rowena Bata Panaginip. Good morning.
Okay, from Rowena Batak Panaginip. Good morning po, Doktora. I'm Rowena from San Isidro, Macabebe. Ask ko lang po kung need pa magpa-booster kahit fully vaccinated na.
Yes. Simple lang, yes. 3 months after booster. Kung J&J, 2 months po. So let's read a lot of reactions sana dun sa mga emotional reactions para matulungan natin sila. Or at least we can comment po on what they said. Yan. Though we are welcoming questions din po naman.
Sige po. From Miss Apolline Saldua, Doc, ang saklap noong naka-isolated lahat kami. Hindi kami prepared noon, wala kaming pagkain na nabili. Taga-barangay namin, hindi man lang kami pinuntahan para bigyan ng pagkain. Sad.
Oh no. Why? Don't be like that, guys. Okay. Baka naman hindi nyo sinabi, ma'am. Eto lang
Yeah.
kasi yes. Before we start getting mad at the barangay, okay? Eto lang. Sinabi nyo ba? Okay? Sinabi nyo ba? Kasi yung iba naman nahihiya, kaya nga sinabi ko no discrimination. We tell the BHERTS, which is the barangay emergency response team, for two things: to monitor that nobody's leaving the house, of course. But the other good thing naman po is to get the support po ng barangay. Meron pong binibigay na suporta ang ating pong barangay for those isolated and quarantine. It may not be monetary, pero sana naman po it will be some they give rice, some they give money, and some po they give assistance, physical assistance. So if you didn't, I hope naman na hindi po nag-report kayo at dinedma kayo. That would be really sad. Pero sometimes you tell the barangay captain, but hindi nyo tinulungan. And sometimes they said, di naman po nagsabi. So I guess both ways, no? But I hope naman po na hindi po yun ang nangyari sa inyo. Kung yun po yung nangyari, nobody helped, then that's really sad.
Yep. From Miss Anne Cesules Serino. Good morning po, Doc. This is my 9th day of isolation. Sad po ako kasi dito ako sa taas naka-isolate at naririnig ko lagi ang iyak ng 2-year-old baby ko. Hanggang ngayon may ubo pa din ako. Ano kaya ang gamot na mabisa para mabilis mawala? Salamat po.
Ma'am, you can take, I'm sorry to hear that you're separated from the 2-year-old. That's really sad po, no? Yung mga over-the-counter po cough medicines are okay. You can also take po yung mga, yung mga Lagundi syrup, yung mga dextromethorphan, and then you can also take po mga decongestants din po. But mostly, time po talaga, time. I would like to tell everyone, no, it's usually, for the symptomatic 10 days, kung umabot po kayo ng 10 days and you still have a lagnat, you rest pa rin po muna. Huwag nyo pong ipilit na 10 days na rest lang po. But, ma'am, let's pray na lang po na I'm hoping someone is taking good care of the 2-year-old and I'm sure you miss him.
Okay. Next po.
Okay, from Miss Dax Buni. I'm still on quarantine because I tested positive. Tigil yung business ko kasi ayoko makapag-spread ng virus. I'm the breadwinner of the family kaya kalaban ko yung stress, anxiety, at super pag-iisip. Kasi lahat ng gastusin sa akin ay nahata kaya gusto ko na pong gumaling. Sad face.
Oo nga po. I mean, lalo na for the breadwinner of the family, this is so difficult. I'd like to acknowledge po, no? Gusto ko pong kilalanin. That's why I held this. Kasi po, para purong galit tayo during, the emotion of anger is so easy. But let's understand where other people are coming from. And you know what? Instead of getting angry, condemning yung kapitbahay ko, labas ng labas, ganun. How about yung tumulong po tayo, no? For the breadwinners, talagang dumudugo po ang puso ko.
Okay, next po. From Mr. Raymond Alan Sese, Doktora, need po bang kumpletuhin ng 10 days isolation kung sipon and sakit na lalamunan lang?
Sir Raymond, really, that's really, really the number one question po talaga of everybody. Pero hanggat maaari po talaga, pilitin po natin, please, let's try and complete the 10 days of isolation. For those who are symptomatic, yung may nararamdaman na po, whether it be sipon or sakit ng lalamunan. Ngayon, kung close contact po kayo, that is 7 days kung vaccinated. And kung hindi po kayo vaccinated, I'm sorry, 14 days talaga for the close contact po na hindi po bakunado. Okay? So, sorry talaga. And ako mismo, ang tell you na mahirap, but we will support you po and understand po yung situation mo. Alam mo, ito lang nga,
Okay.
Reyna. Ito lang nga, sorry. Can I just add something before we go here?
Sige po,
Kung minsan
Dr.
masama rin ho itong pagiging mild ng Omicron eh. Kasi dati, di ba, kung na-Delta ka, talagang, the feeling is really so horrible that you're really gonna stay in your house because you're so scared. Etong sa Omicron, parang tumatapang po yung mga tao eh. But you know what? It's still a serious viral illness. Meron pa rin pong na-ospital, lalo na po yung mga hindi bakunado and the mga seniors. So, for them, siguro, concern na lang natin sa kanila, wag na lang po tayo lumabas. But, mahirap. Mahirap. Okay? Parang ang haba ata ng
From Mr. Arnie Ortiz. Doc, thanks for this valuable information. My anti-vax friends are now telling me that there is no difference daw between a vax and non-vax person. Madami daw non-vax person asymptomatic to moderate lang din. Samantalang mga may breakthrough infection, ganun din lang. So they argue na hindi daw factor ang vaccines. Can you point us to some data and stats showing that non-vax persons are the ones ending up in the hospital? Thanks, Doktora.
Okay. Madaming points dito na maganda pong pag-usapan. Intention talaga. Napapansin din po namin yan sa internet, no? Marami pong nagsasabi, bakit daw magpapabakuna kung meron naman pong nagkakasakit na bakunado. Ako personally, I know someone po na nagkasakit na ng COVID, na bakunado na po ng 2 times, na booster na rin po, then nagkasakit uli. So what I could say po is, after all of that, buhay pa siya. So what I'm trying to say, at hindi na babuata ito. So ang ano po is, the vaccine and there will be people who will get sick po despite being vaccinated. Kaya lang po, ang tinitingnan po talaga natin tayo dito talaga, yung mahalaga po, yung sino po ang nasa ICU. There is an article in the Philippine Daily Inquirer 2 days ago po, ipinost ko na rin po, no, that 85% of the ICU in the DOH hospital po is non-vaccinated. At yung 15% po, bakunado with COVID, pero halimbawa sinaksak, tapos na-swab, bakunado, tapos ay may COVID pala, ganon. But he got into the ICU, not because of the COVID, but because sinaksak siya. Halimbawa, sinagasaan po, nasagasaan, tinakbo sa ER, swinab, ay positive, o ganon, napunta sa ICU. But it's not because ang grabe na po ng COVID niya, itakbo na sa ICU. Hindi. Sinagasaan po siya. So that's why he's in the ICU. So ganun po yung mga kaso po ng mga vaccinated who are in the ICU. Okay? So mga ganun ho. Like, operahan, may cancer. Okay? O, swinab. Ay, positive. Ganon. Hindi naman ho, because of the COVID. The rate of hospitalization is misleading po sa Pilipinas. Kasi po, sa Pilipinas, ang dami pong nagpa-hospital ng mga mild, pero nerbyoso. So, pinasabi mo, ba't ang daming positive na nasa ospital? Wala, nagpa-hospital lang sila because they are nervous, not because they need it. Ngayon, the better stats po to look at would be the government hospital. Kasi sa gobyerno po, you cannot go in unless you are really sick. Sa private, as long as you pay the down payment, o sige, pasok na po. No? So that's the difference po sa Pilipinas. Sa Philippines, anybody can get hospitalized. So you might argue na maraming bakunadong na ospital. But if you ask them kung ba't sila nagpa-ospital, kasi po nervyoso po sila. So, statistics tell them po 85% of those in the ICU right now are non-vaccinated. Of those in the ICU who were admitted for COVID are non-vaccinated. For those po na non-vax, alam mo, wag niyo ho kayong makipag-away sa kanila. It's just so useless. Just pray for them na lang po, and kung sila po ay ma-COVID, hala. Okay? So yun po yun. There is still a huge benefit to being vaccinated because even if ma-breakthrough infection po kayo, actually less po yung ano nyo less yung viral load nyo. So less nakakahawa, less serious, and hindi po kayo ma-ICU at mas lalo na pong hindi kayo mamamatay. So this is really very concerning. I'd like to bring this up. Ang dami pong batang positive ngayon. In fact, possibly more than adults. It's because the children po are the non-vaccinated pa, and they are really at risk. So please, bakuna pa rin. But thank you for clarifying this. We'd like to greet Mr. Nelson, a happy birthday. Inaanak po siya ni Kong Rimpi. He's from Candaba. Hello, Sir Nelson, and happy birthday. We'll extend po ng konti kasi ang dami pong mga tanong ata. May tanong ba, Rains, or konti lang, or what's happening?
Yes, madami po. Inuulan tayo as usual.
Opo. So mga short na lang Okay, short na lang. Okay.
From Miss Arlene Esquivel. Doktora, ilang days po ang pinaka-contagious period kung symptoms po ng Omicron ang mag-manifest?
Normally po, 'di ba, sa Delta dati or sa dating COVID, it was 5 days. Ngayon po 2 days na lang po. And they have noticed na mabilis pong maglaho. So 10 days. So 2 to 10 days po.
From Mr. Arnie Ortiz. Doc, now that a lot of people got their boosters, when should be the next cycle of vaccine again? Asking out of curiosity lang.
Thank you for this question, but nobody, sir, can answer that. We don't know what will be the next variant. We don't know if there will be a next variant. Pakiusap ko na lang po sa mga first world countries, this Omicron happened because we don't want to vaccinate. Parang nag-hoard tayo ng mga bakuna, ayaw nating tulungan ng mga tiga-Africa. So sila yung nagkaroon tuloy ng variant doon. Ngayon, kung continue to hoard ang mga first world countries, continue pa rin magkakaroon ng ibang variant. And this time, it may not be mild.
From Mr. Charlie Elijah Casas. Doc, good morning po. Doc, nag-positive po ako na may mild symptoms. Okay lang po ba di ko iinuman ng gamot na calamansi juice lang po at luya? Ngayon po, okay na okay po ako kaso po may ubo-ubo lang ng konti at makating lalamunan. Pag mag-test rin po ba ako negative, pwede na po ba akong pumasok sa work? Salamat po.
First of all, if you want to take natural remedies po like calamansi, thank you for this question. Wala pong masama doon. Lagundi is actually a herb. So if you feel like you're okay naman po with the natural remedies, wala pong masama. Okay? Even if you test negative po, you still need to complete 10 days of isolation and wala na pong nararamdaman pong symptoms. We are more of a time-based, not a test-based Kasi po, the test after, I always say this, there are people who will be positive kahit okay na sila. Kasi po, yung parang remnants of dead COVID po yung nakukuha ng test. So if you do a test-based release from isolation, some people have been positive for 6 months. Just we don't want you to stay in an isolation for the long time. So again, after 10 days po, no need to test, balik na po. I understand po that sometimes some companies misguided or I don't know, ayoko na kung sagutin kung bakit, But some companies are demanding po a negative test. So wala na po tayong choice kundi mag-comply. Pero you cannot go to work earlier than 10 days. Kailangan po talagang. You will not get kasi the barangay will sign, they really ask for 10 days. Okay? Another birthday greeting from Miss May Mengay Guarin. Happy birthday, Miss Mengay.
Happy birthday po. This will be our last. Doktora, would you want to be this our last question?
Hindi, mag-read lang tayo ng dalawa pang reactions kasi I
Okay.
really felt, parang nakabagdamdamin talaga ako sa mga reactions kahit basahin lang natin.
Sige po. For Miss Marjorie Iris Eduliantes Candano. Hi Doc, tanong ko lang, Pfizer ang first dose and second dose. Pwede ang booster po ba na Pfizer pa rin or iba naman? Thanks, Doc.
It can be Pfizer, it can be a different. Both are okay. Thank you for this question and congratulations also na nasa booster ka na.
From Miss Chardy Elijah Casas. Doc, okay rin po ba di na uminom ng antibiotic? May mild symptoms lang po ako. Naka 7 days na po ako ng isolation. Okay lang po ba kahit mga over-the-counter lang na gamot?
Okay na okay. Actually, there is no need to drink antibiotics because antibiotics po is for bacterial infection. Viral naman po yung COVID. So, yes, if you're getting better, you're on the right track. Akin tuloy-tuloy lang po.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Wow, this is gonna be for our last question, Doktora. From Miss Armiday. Nung nag-positive ako, mixed emotions. Pero mas lamang ang takot para sa mga fur babies ko. Kasi ng oxygen ako. Mababa po ang level ko. I need to stay sa ER to monitor. Halos 24 hours na ako doon. Walang kasama mga furs ko sa bahay. Tapos nababaliw ako na what if matuluyan ako, mamahalin kaya sila ng kukuha sa kanila na kagaya ng love ko? Or may kukuha or ampon kaya sa mga first ko? Sila ang naisip ko. But at the same time, maging masaya na din if mawala na ako. Makakasama ko na parents ko. This is so sad.
Ako naman, obviously Miss Army is still with us. So I'm actually not too sad, no? Though sad rin talaga. Well, mixed emotions is I would say, no? I'm happy na obviously okay si ma'am kasi nakalabas na siya ng ER, nagte-text siya sa atin, ano. But yes, you know what I wanted to say, and I don't know, ito lang I don't know kung single si ma'am, okay? I don't want to presume, ano, but I wanted to bring up the following points. Yes, even if your alaga is an animal, it's legitimate po, it's a fur baby, legitimate po na masad din po. Kasi some people will say, ano ba yan, di naman tao yan. But ako, I feel for these kinds of alagas. I'm a dog lover myself. And when Benji got sick, we brought George here para bantayan lang siya. So yes, very valid po talaga emosyon yung yan. Very valid. And I am totally understand. Ngayon po, yung makasama po yung parents nyo when you pass away, well, very valid din po yon for those na ulila na po sa buhay. Seeing our parents is also something that we look forward to. Pero sana wag pa ngayon kasi kailangan pa ho tayo ngayon, okay? And lastly, I wanted to bring this up na I'm going to post this later. I read this article po na if you are single and living alone, isolation is even more difficult. Tayo kasi, Filipinos, we tend to live in families. But I do know certain friends of mine who are single, either by choice, kung ano man nangyayari, separated, single moms, whatever na, wag na natin puntahan. But if you're a single person kasi, your social life revolves around friends and going out. Lalo na if you live alone. So, pag na-isolation ka talaga, parang maka-cut off ka talaga. At least kung pamilya kayo, na-isolate yung buong bahay nyo, 5 kayo doon sa loob eh. But if you are a single person, I don't mean single marital status, okay? I kind of mean single living alone. Napakahirap po talaga kasi yung support system nyo, kasi talagang and I think throughout the pandemic naman no? Yung support system nyo talaga mapuputol. So yes, I do feel a lot of sympathy, not sympathy, but understanding and empathy po for those persons who live alone. Kasi if you live alone, hindi naman hindi naman malungkot ang buhay mo because you can reach out. Kaya lang once you get isolated by illness, talagang mag-isa ka. So it's really difficult. So last words, iba-iba po talaga mararamdaman natin sa isolation. But we need po talaga na tiisin po natin because if it's for everybody's safety and for ourselves. And yes, valid po lahat po ng nararamdaman natin. But again, don't lose hope. It will pass. Keep yourself busy, help others, be kind, and pag nakalabas ka po sa isolation, praise the Lord. And after that, again, pag kayo ay nakalabas na, help others pa rin. Alright? So, good morning po.